Today's guest is Jimmy Thistle, a man who knows what rock bottom feels like. At his lowest, alcohol wasn't just part of his life, it was how he survived each day. In 2020, during COVID, Jimmy made the decision that saved his life and committed to sobriety. More than 5 years later, he's now sober, married, hosts a successful podcast, and now supports others as a peer mentor in addiction recovery. This episode is about addiction, recovery, and what's possible when you choose to change your life. We've had a great start to this, Jimmy, haven't we? How are you, sir?
I'm good.
Tremendous. All the better to be joined by your company.
Oh, thank you, mate. It's an absolute pleasure to come on and be invited onto your amazing What's the Skeet podcast.
Thank you very much.
Happy New Year as well, mate.
Very much.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year in person rather than over message.
Exactly, mate. Yeah.
Tremendous.
Yeah.
Have you had, looking back on the last year, would you say it's been a good year for you?
It's been the best year I've had so far. Like, we'll get into this, but like since I got sober in 2020, every year has consistently got better. You know, like
Right,
at the end of the year, you're kind of going, like I used to sit there at the end of the year going, the next year cannot be, it's got to be a good year. It can't be as bad as last year. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then it would just be even worse because I was still drinking. Do you know what I mean? I was still bringing that same mentality in.
Mm-hmm.
But since getting sober in 2020, every year has just got consistently better because I gave up one thing. Last year, 2025, I got married to the most beautiful woman in the universe, Jen.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Wow.
2026 is going to be tough to top, you know?
Yeah. Do you think the reason why each year gets better and better is due to momentum? Like the momentum building of the sobriety journey, and you're getting more and more and more proud of yourself, so love yourself more and more and more and more as you go along? Is that how that works?
I mean, some of that, yeah, but also like as soon as you get sober, with a lot of people, majority of people I speak to, if it's been bringing a negative impact on their life, and they've got sober, made that step by giving up one thing, and it can be drugs as well, but drugs were never a major problem for me. Like I dabbled, but it wasn't a major thing. Alcohol was the main thing for me, but giving that up, the universe, if you want to go all woo-woo and all that, it starts opening doors, and each one of these doors just keeps getting, you know, what's through that? Oh, it's like, you know, I started my own business, my gardening business. You know, I'm now like working for Motivate in a part-time basis, being a peer mentor for people that are wanting to get into recovery, super curious or having problems with it. So yeah, and then as I say, you know, getting relationships back with my family, you know,
that's
new
big.
people, all of those things, and obviously meeting Jen as well, and you know, being allowed into her life. She's got 3 kids, so I'm now, you know, a stepfather to 3 amazing kids as well, and it's just been that kind of steady increase, you know, and it's like because alcohol was holding me back from doing things. Like I had a lot of maybe aspirations in life, but I wasn't doing anything with them.
Procrastinating is the other term for that, is it?
Stuck in a rut, mate. Stuck in a rut. Doing jobs that I absolutely hated. I was stuck in an office.
Yeah.
Doing temping work, and then I would, you know, maybe, you know, mess it up because I'd be drinking, not in the job, but I'd be phoning in sick.
Yeah.
Just not letting them know what was going on.
Brain foggy,
and then messing that up, and then going, just get another job. Do you know what I mean? And so like 20s, 30s, you know, I'm 46 in a month's time.
Good Lord, you're looking well.
Oh, well, thank you. I do appreciate it. That's healthy living, mate.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you think your health improved? Could you, before we get right diving into it, do you think your health improved the like that after that first year? Was it noticeable?
Yeah.
Your physical health? Yeah. That's something that I wouldn't say I'm a heavy drinker. I go out every now and again on occasions. But when I don't drink, I do feel a lot better.
Yeah.
And is that what everyone tends, like when you talk to people that Motivate and around that area, do you think that it's a common theme?
Yeah, without a doubt. Because it's a poison. I mean, I'll put it plain and simple. It is a poison. It's ethanol, basically. It's not good for you in any... That old chestnut, like, a glass of wine keeps the doctor at bay. All that kind of... It's absolute
bullshit.
Nonsense.
Wives'
Absolute
tales.
Bullshit, yeah. So, Professor David Nutt, he did a study, right? And he basically found, so you know, food standards and health practices and all that, and they have to check every single ingredient.
Yeah, like FDA sort of regular.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. And they say, right, this is not allowed to have this level in it because that could be bad or whatever. But this is okay. This is safe. So they don't test alcohol in any food. There's alcohol in most foods, but they don't test it. They just leave it out because it would fail every time.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Well, is that because of the added?
Well, it's a carcinogen to begin with, and Professor David Nutt found that the safe level that a human person can have of alcohol is 1 glass of wine a year. Not like in one sitting. That's it, spaced out over a year. It's absolutely mental, but nobody tells you this.
No, I'd never heard that before.
So in 1988, the World Health Organization classed alcohol as a Category 1 carcinogen, which is up there with tobacco, asbestos, and radiation.
By carcinogen, just elaborate on what that means.
So something that gives you cancer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. But nobody tells you that. Like, they put warnings on cigarettes and all that, and we all know.
Yeah.
Like, I used to smoke heavily. And
I smoked as a young fella.
I see, like, the warnings on the packets, but I'm like, I'll give up at some point, which I did give up.
Yeah.
But I knew what it was doing to me. I was aware, but on alcohol, it just is drink responsibly.
Yeah, you don't really have a picture of someone's lungs hanging off or someone's liver in bits on a can of beer, do you? Yeah. It's not the same. Give me an example of food that would have it in that you wouldn't expect. Just pull that mic a bit close to your face there.
Yeah, so food that... I mean, obviously, tiramisu... but you kind of know that's
steak and ale pie.
Steak and ale pie, exactly. But off the top of my head, I don't know. But start checking because when I first gave up, I took a thing called disulfiram, right?
Okay.
Which is called Antabuse, which basically, if you drink on that, it makes you violently ill. It can give you heart palpitations. You have to get your liver checked before you keep taking it.
Oh boy,
because it's bad if you drink on it. And I had to check the ingredients of all the foods that I was taking when I was on that because, and I just used it for the first 6 months to kind of give me that little, stepping stone to get sober.
Because you were scared of what would happen if you drank whilst taking it? Is that what the stepping stone was?
That's what puts you off. Because the thing with disulfiram is you have to, if you want to drink, you have to stop taking it for 2 weeks before you drink because it's still in your system for 2 weeks. So it's like you can't just go, well, I'm going to drink next Thursday. I'm going to stop taking it on Tuesday and I'll be fine. No, you have to plan it for 2 weeks. So so basically I was having to check deodorants. Obviously aftershave, you're putting that on. That's a no because it's got alcohol in it. So
but even now, as a sober gentleman, you wouldn't.
Oh no, just when I was on that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was checking I don't know, moisturizers, all these things. There's so many things on the back of it. If it ends in OL, like ethanol,
run,
or whatever. Yeah, run. But because I was on that, it would bring me out in blotches and stuff. And there was a few times where I did make a mistake, and I'd be maybe have a shower gel that had alcohol in it, and I'd be like, oh, that's dodgy. Yeah. Shit. So it is in a lot of things. So it is it's very small amounts, but
it does make a difference.
But they don't test it because they know it'll fail.
Even when you think about roll-on deodorant, that's essentially getting absorbed into your armpits,
and most of that has alcohol in it.
Yeah, and it's getting and people don't think about just because it's on your body doesn't mean that it doesn't go into your body through because your skin is an organ and it goes in through your skin, doesn't it?
You're absorbing it. It's going straight into your blood.
Yeah, that's bananas.
Yeah,
thinking about it like that, actually, isn't it?
I mean, I know we're getting off on a tangent.
No. I'm okay with a tangent.
It's.
I like this. I'm interested.
This is the thing. You know what I mean? And I want to start maybe speaking to a few MHKs and things like that to get labels on bottles. I'm not saying let's outlaw drinking because I know that's never going to happen. We're not going to go back.
It's the culture in a sense.
It's the culture. It's the prohibition. But I want people to be aware. I want them to be informed of
awareness
what they're
is
doing.
key.
Yeah, like they did it in Canada. In small little provinces, the big alcohol companies were they lobbied against it and they were you need to causes cancer off there. It was taken off for a couple of months and then it was put back on because the alcohol companies couldn't basically dispute it. It was fact. So
that is a fact, isn't it? Fair. And anyone who drinks should know
that. Yeah.
If you're going for a beer with your pal as well, it's like you say, it's a carcinogen.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I mean, obviously, it's high levels, and I don't know what the levels are, and it's all that. Medical practice to know.
And everybody's different.
Yeah, everyone's different.
Each body reacts differently, and each person consumes it differently, I suppose.
I'm a big lad, you're a big lad. We can probably handle, I built up quite a tolerance, but then I knew this. She was actually a reporter in Scotland. She is a reporter in Scotland. She did the documentary in the BBC last year. She was 32, and she went in. She was feeling lethargic and all that. She went in for a check. They did a liver function test, and they said you need to stop drinking because you're getting close to having like scarring, which then leads to cirrhosis.
Oh boy!
And she was just binging like twice a month.
Really?
You know, with
that's concerning.
Yeah, but she was quite small, slight, and all that. But still,
lady.
32. You don't expect someone to be getting cirrhosis at 32.
But that's also sometimes the problem, isn't it? That you can't tell what's going on inside just from looking at someone from the outside.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Which is something that as I've got older, and I know I'm not old, but as I've matured slightly, you start realising sometimes just because someone looks doesn't mean they haven't got anything going on. Whereas as a kid, you think, oh, they look fine, they are fine.
Yeah.
And then it starts to spread it. Okay, maybe I should ask, are you okay today? Yeah. And that's something that which is bizarre when you think about it.
Yeah.
As a 32-year-old, having something wrong with other. Yeah, I'm just thinking about that. That's scary, actually.
We never. I think people are getting better at kind of, you know, maybe not going off on a tangent at someone in a shop if they haven't given you a hard time or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what they're dealing with. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think people are getting a bit more compassionate, although we're still a long way to go because we don't know what's going on in someone's life every day. And there's a lot of people out there. Like I see people in Tesco's and they're filling up their shopping trolley with bottles and bottles and bottles. I see their face and I'm like, oh, and I just want to go and give them a big hug and say, there's a way out of this, because I can see that's not just for a party that you're having. That's probably
home use,
personal night, you know, your evening.
Yeah, what were before the alcohol became a problem?
Yeah,
what were you? Did you have a tendency to be obsessed or addicted to things? You know, as a young person, just digging into your story a little bit.
Yeah.
What was it like before the alcohol came in altogether?
I mean,
can you remember?
I mean, yeah, but I mean, alcohol was always there. Alcohol was always probably a problem from quite an early age. Like I started drinking at 14 up in Glasgow. We lived in a kind of little suburb of Glasgow, out in the countryside, lots of farms, you know.
Yeah,
so
rural.
Quite normalised to
nice
here. The smell of the manure in the morning. Exactly. So, yeah, so we would just go up the woods, down the park, you know, drinking. And I just enjoyed it, per se, I did, from an early age. Like, I've looked into, there's not real... My parents split up when I was 6, but there was never really any trauma that was like, right, I'm going to...
Set you off.
I'm gonna forget all my troubles by drinking, you know. I just enjoyed it, and I didn't have an off switch. So, like, all of my kind of late teens, 20s, I was working in bars, so I was just partying all the time. Like...
Around it.
And I think, you know, that did become my life. You know, it was like, you know, I put on my CV, I enjoy socialising. That meant going out on the piss, didn't it?
Yeah, going out for a couple of bebs.
Yeah. And if someone, like say I went on a date or whatever, people say to me, so what is it you do? And I'd be like, well, this, like going out and having a drink. Do you know what I mean? That was kind of my hobbies and things. I know it's quite sad looking back.
That's relatable to a lot of people.
Yeah.
That, like, as you know yourself from talking to many people.
Yeah.
More people, it's not something that's spoke about enough, that I don't think.
No.
Like, that is a relatable fact. People go out and socialise. People like to go out and socialise.
Yeah.
But why does socialising and alcohol have to go together for some people?
I'll tell you why it went together for me.
Yeah, for you. For you, yeah.
Yeah, no, and I think this can maybe transpire onto other people as well. So when I started drinking at 14, and when did you have your first drink?
13 or 14, yeah. Down on the beach.
Down the beach. So, I mean, you were lucky you lived in this beautiful island. We were just like, you know, up in the woods in freezing Scotland. But I think that and why I started drinking was because it gave me that buzz, it gave me that confidence. And, you know, I was maybe quite a shy kid, but it was like when I had a drink, I could be this, like, almost like this other person. I was funny, I could chat to girls. And I think for a lot of people, when you're going through those teen years, it is tough, you know. But we learn to socialise with alcohol. So by the time we get into our 20s and 30s, have we socialised much without alcohol? I know I didn't.
No, I
really
didn't. Yeah. Did you do sports, though, as a younger person?
No, not
you
really.
weren't really into sports or team-based or anything?
I was into, like, music and film and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So I was a bit of a weird kind of gothy hippie kid.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, actually,
So,
actually,
bit of a
that's just right,
grunger if
is
we're
that?
going back to it was the 90s, so I was like Nirvana. Then I suppose Oasis and all that.
Yeah.
No, sport was, no, it was
Not a
like,
priority.
no, it was going camping and taking acid.
Yeah.
Really, to be fair. Expanding my mind.
Yeah, and
you know,
seeing
and you know,
seeing what's going on.
seeing
sort
what's
of.
going on. So,
But
yeah.
you're working out at a young age. I suppose you're just working things out,
Yeah.
aren't you?
But
Really.
all my idols were like, I suppose, dead rock stars, and they were always on about like, well, I suppose most Pink Floyd are still alive, but like, expanded the mind, psychedelic stuff and all that. And that's what I was kind of really about at that point,
Well, they're cool. They were people to look up to then.
Yeah. People that were like, throwing tellies out of hotel windows, that rock and roll
Jackassy
kind
sort of vibe as well.
Yeah, I
Feral and
really
wild.
aspired to that, and it was like if I'm not living fast and hard, then I wasn't doing it right. That was my mentality back then.
That's not bizarre. That's quite relatable.
It's
I
quite
think,
relatable
to people who grew up in the 80s, 90s era.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you think about idols for young people, and yes, it's on social media, but there's good and bad, obviously. But they've got exposure to good idols if they look in the right areas. Whereas if you're in a small town from Glasgow, sometimes your idols are most of the time it's probably what you see on the telly.
No internet, so we're talking like what I'm reading.
5 shows on the telly or something.
Five channels, yeah. If that, I think 5 started like later on in the 90s. So we had 4 channels. So I was like reading lots of books, watching lots of films, listening to a lot of music, reading magazines, I guess, as well. But it was all about like hedonistic. The 90s were mental. Like Oasis was just, they were drunk the whole time,
Or stoned.
Or doing other stuff, And I think, but going back to that, it was like when I was 40 was the first time that I really, when I got sober, to go out and socialise sober. And don't get me wrong, it is tough.
Yeah.
Because your anxiety is on overload. You're like, oh my God, people are staring, but before you know it, you realise that people don't really care about what you're doing, what you're looking like. They're caring about what's maybe in their glass or whatever. But I think that's the thing. I think a lot of people, if you said to someone, right, we're going to go out to this big party, this big event, but you're not drinking, they would shit themselves. They'd be like, I know a lot of people do it.
Yeah,
The
social barriers aren't lifted off the same. You can't feel as
free.
Correct.
Yeah. But why? Because actually, alcohol is a thing that changes a person's character. Like, some people don't. Some people are a little bit more maybe loud or whatever. But actually, it's one of the main drugs that changes your character completely, But then we think we're being ourselves when we're, I need a drink because I can't be myself.
Yeah,
it's like, no, but that's not yourself.
That's not you, is it?
So I think more people need to be going out and
think about that question.
Yeah. Raw dogging it. Go out and raw dog a social event.
Will you go out? So could you go out with your wife? I don't know, and a few pals, just like so. For example, Jack's on the prom, or Quid's in on the prom, or 1886, past like 5-6 o'clock, and go out and enjoy the night, listen to the band because you're into rock music, or is that just a complete no go?
It's not a complete no-go. No, I mean, Jen and I have been to quite a few things, mostly at the Villa, like band nights or whatever. I wouldn't necessarily go in a pub if there was no music on or whatever, just to go in and socialise. Maybe it's my age as well, but like it feels like a different atmosphere. Like I enjoy socialising, but not in a massive, loud environment. If that makes sense.
Is it because you get nervous because you feel like maybe you become what you surround yourself with?
No, it's not about nerves now. It's just that I don't enjoy that place, and I know a lot of people that are sober, they don't enjoy going into pubs anymore because they're not in that, and they don't like being in that environment. And it's not a nervousness thing. It's not like a shy thing. It's like when you're not drinking in that pub, you kind of see it
why you're
there,
or why you.
Like I'd rather go and sit. Like that's why I go to Windsor a lot, because it's open till 10. I mean, my mates will go and like just have coffee and chat, and we can actually hear each other.
Yeah, and actually socialise properly.
Yeah.
Looking back, like I can quite relate to you there, because for a while, a lot of my friends are only people who I went and got drunk with on the weekend.
Yeah.
Which is strange to think, actually. It's quite humbling to think about that, and I think a few people will think, are my friends people who actually know me or just know the drunk me?
Yeah. A lot of people getting into recovery and getting sober start seeing people drift off their life, and they're like, oh, was that just someone that I propped up the bar with? And they're like, because they're not really phoning me because I'm not going down the pub anymore.
Yeah,
and it's like they start realizing who their real friends are, you know.
definitely.
And I think that's
No
like,
matter what age you are, as
no
well.
matter what age you are, yeah. If
friendships-
you've only got friendships that are like solely going to the pub and clubs and whatever, and I mean, most of the time you probably can't even. I'm not saying you specifically,
Yeah, no.
but can't remember the conversations you had, or because most of the time you're kind of like talking at each other, waiting for the other person to stop talking so that you can go, well, I heard this funny story the other day. And you've told me that 3 times now.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
And I know that's like a
Oh, I'll
blanket
go out
kind of-
sober with the rugby lads. Like, so
Yeah.
after a rugby game, I'll play rugby and socialise with my mates on a Tuesday and Thursday. That's why I actually did sports, because
That's different. Yeah.
because on a Tuesday and a Thursday, that team, they socialise sober and train together.
Right.
And then on a Saturday, they then go out and have beers after a game or whatever. And I love rugby and I love the lads. However, I do find myself getting a little bit overwhelmed by the alcohol consumption now that I'm older.
Yeah.
So I'll go out sober, completely sober, in Jack's or somewhere like that, and just drink Diet Coke and then drive home on a Saturday, for example. And it's a bizarre... It's a very bizarre experience what you witness when you're sober in a place like that, or even like, I've been to the Outback with a few of my pals before, and I'm sober. I said, I'll come in with you, see what's going on.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of things you see in there. One, the sights, hellish.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you remember everything that you see in there.
Yeah. You can't erase that.
You can't
stuff.
erase that.
No.
2, the things you hear.
Yeah.
That's also bananas. And then you start asking yourself, what on earth am I doing in here?
Yeah.
Well, you don't ask yourself that when you had a few beers.
Do you feel like you're connecting with the people in there when you're in there
No.
like that? No.
Not
You're kind of just there to show face almost?
not
and-
after a point.
Yeah. Like 3-4 pints in.
3-4 pints.
Not
in,
you, but then-
happy days.
Yeah, and then
I'm
it's
in the
after that.
I'm in the crack. I'm in the banter. I'm on the same wavelength as everyone. I can relate
Yeah.
in that conversation. But then after a point, you're there more to look out for them in a way.
Yeah.
I always feel like you're looking out for them in a way. You're like, I'm not gonna I'll be the guy who's just like,
Make sure they get home or
take it easy a little bit there. Like, maybe a little bit too far there.
Is it needed? Do we need shots?
Yeah.
At 12 o'clock.
Yeah,
you know?
2 o'clock in the
2
morning.
o'clock
You think,
in the morning. Yeah.
you end up becoming that type of character, I think, in that environment, rather than being on the dance floor and arm over arm. You're in the corner. And Luke, thinking about it last year, that was probably something that I experienced quite a bit of. And it's weird. I like this conversation.
It is weird because I always put it like when I was out and drinking, and like we went to Liverpool in November or whatever, October, November, and there was quite a lot of us over there. And it was like, being out in a big city at night after dark, before when I had my drinking force field on me, I felt like I was invincible, and I'm not and all that, but I wasn't worried about going in here and going down there.
Levitating almost.
Absolutely, yeah. But now, going with my family, and it gets a bit dark, and you're like, right, we probably need to get out of the town at this time because it's starting to get a bit of a kind of
dicey
vibe going on, and you're like, yeah, because you've not got that kind of armor around you. That's the way I see it anyway.
That's very true.
It's and Douglas on a Friday, Saturday night it's crazy. It's crazy. It's not as bad as some cities. Of course, it's not.
No way.
We're very safe over here.
Extremely.
But if we go out for a meal or maybe go to the Villa and you're walking down Strand Street and you see some right sights. And it's great,
true, right.
but it's like 10 o'clock and they're like, you're you're heading to another bar, aren't you?
Yeah, and they'll keep going too.
And the people still keep serving them. So I came out and said to my mum, I was like, nah, I'm not an alcoholic. I don't have a problem. So then I just carried on for many years. And then I moved, I was still living with my parents at that point, but then I moved out and lived in a flat. So I was doing this, doing that. I was working. I was making good money.
Yeah.
And I just kind of fell into this kind of, I think they call it like a lush. So I knew I drank a lot and more than most people, but I was functioning. I was holding down the job.
Yes.
I was just partying with my mates, drinking a lot through the week. So I was drinking like 3 bottles of wine a night. And then going out partying with my friends at the weekend doing,
getting wild.
Getting wild. But that was just kind of my nightly thing.
But when did this sobriety start? Like, when did that, as a 40-year-old man, when does that all of a sudden click in your head?
I guess I guess I mean, this is the thing we say, like, if you think you've got a problem with alcohol or drugs, then you've got a problem with alcohol and drugs. And like, for me, it kept on getting worse and worse and worse. So I'd have moments of sobriety. I'd maybe do 3 months. I never did more than 3 months. I don't know if I even did 3 months. I did meetings and I did this and I did that, and then I would kind of go, right, you know what, moderation's working, I'm okay. I wasn't really moderating, but I was getting better at hiding it from people. I was then in a relationship across in Hull, and I was just losing jobs, just drinking in the house, hiding it. I was putting bottles behind like the stem of the toilet.
Really?
So we'd be drinking wine, and then I'd be going off the toilet and drinking vodka.
Really?
Oh yeah. Like lying, just doing all sorts
Does
of
that make you feel shame now looking back? How does that make you feel looking back on those memories?
Like it's not me. Because it wasn't me. It was the alcohol. It was like I needed it. It was almost like a medicine at that point. Do you know what I mean? Because I was starting to get into points of like where I was going into withdrawal. So if I didn't have it in the morning, I would start to shake. You can have seizures.
Really? That's
pretty dangerous. It's one of the worst drugs to withdraw from, actually. Like worse than heroin. Heroin takes longer, but it can't kill you. Alcohol withdrawal can kill you. It can stop your heart basically, and you can have seizures. I did have seizures, so at that point it was like, I'm just going to keep drinking.
Yeah, because it's easier than stop.
It's easier than stopping.
Yeah, like a medicine. When you said that over to me earlier, I was a bit like, I didn't really know how to think. I didn't really know what concept you meant that in.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It was the
when
only
you
thing.
mentioned medicine or something.
Yeah, sorry, I should have elaborated on that.
Yeah, it sort of helped you through the day. Did it help you through the day, or did it help your well-being?
It didn't.
It
didn't help anything. All it did was stop the withdrawal. So with my ex, when I was living across in Hull, like 2018, 2019, 2020, I would wait. I wasn't working at this point towards the end, and they would go off to work in school. She had 2 kids. And I'd be literally hanging in the morning, and then I would, as soon as they'd left, I'd make my way up to, if there was no booze hidden in the house, I'd make my way up to the 24-hour garage. Like I sometimes went up there in my dressing gown. I was not, I was not a good sight, but I didn't care. And I'd get my little half bottle of vodka, because I'd be like, right, this is all I'm going to have today. I'm just going to have this. I just need this.
Yeah.
And I'd get out of the place, like a proper old drunk, get out of the garage and just start gulping it. Like gulping it straight, and then I would be okay. I'd get back to the house, I'd be able to get myself washed, maybe have something to eat, and I would still be drinking this, and then once that was gone, I would be like half bottle of vodka. I should be like falling over
on your hoop,
on my hoop, but I call it my sober level.
Yeah.
So from the outset, if you saw me, I'd be like this. I'd be fine. But the shakes that had stopped, I'd be able to do things. Maybe I don't know, look for a job, whatever. Who knows? Yeah. But then I'd be like, well, I need more now. And then I'd go up and I'd get more and more.
Right,
so
okay.
Sometimes they'd come home from work and school and they'd be like, I'd be on form and I'd maybe seem like I'd had a wee bit of a drink. Other times they'd come in and I'd be passed out. And this just kind of went on and on and on. And then I left her. My parents put me into, well, they didn't put me into, but they advised that I needed to go to a rehab place. So I went to a rehab place in Blackpool. Basically.
What a bloody hole.
Oh, I mean, it's a great place for a detox place because they've got a massive alcohol, drugs problem and all that. And they give you a thing called Librium, which helps stave off the withdrawal.
And it worked. Did that period in Blackpool work?
So basically, 3 days after I went in there, the whole world went into lockdown. The UK, Isle of Man, had their first kind of COVID lockdown. So it was like, I came out of there after 28 days and I was like, had to make my way back across the country in trains. There's like nobody about. It was like ghost town, Everyone was locked indoors doing whatever.
Hang on. Can I stop you there?
Yeah.
When you walked out of that 28 days, so you lived there for 28 days?
Yeah, lived as an in-house
with
treatment.
People or by your own?
Yeah, with people. So I was like there, and there was 2 people that were just coming to the end of their term, and they looked healthy and fit and all that. And I'd started smoking again, and I was just out there like, you know what I mean? And then people started coming in after me. So I'd be along the line of getting better. And then people would start coming in like as bad as me, and then they would start feeling better. So I was kind of like, come on in, this place is good. You know what I mean? I knew the ropes and I would teach them what was going on and all that. And it was like, so by the time I left, I think there was about 20 in there. So I was like the kind of first to leave out of our lot.
And you guys had all built connection in there. You probably felt
Yeah.
like that was a sort of a family in a sense.
Oh,
in
without
there.
a doubt.
You built
Especially-
connection through was that the first connection or one of the first connection that you'd properly built without alcohol in there?
Yeah, no doubt.
Really?
Yeah. And the first stuff that I started learning about sobriety, like tools, you know, like AA stuff was in there, smart recovery was in there. Like we were learning all these different things to kind of, we call it our toolbox, you know, to utilize as you're going forward.
Yeah.
And how to get sober. And yeah, but it was mad, you know, like we were in there getting 3 square meals a day, doing group therapy, doing meditation, doing like, you know, sitting in a, like you can imagine, like an AA group, sitting around and telling us our stories,
Like a circle.
Yeah, circle. Then we would chill out in the evening, watch films and all that. But our counsellors were coming in because they were living off site and saying, I had to queue like 2 hours at Sainsbury's, 2 meters apart and all that. And we were like, what is going on?
Yeah, what's going on?
We didn't have a clue. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We
That's
could see
funny.
the news, but we just didn't know what it was like. And then I came out, and I think I did a total of 55 days. Basically, my ex who had left, I was hopefully thinking things are gonna ramp up again or whatever, and she just basically shut me down. So I was like, well, I'll show them.
Yeah.
And I went and got more booze.
Really?
Yeah. And
After 55 days?
55 days. And it was like that kind of thing, well, what's the point? So I went out and
Fuck it.
vodka, Stella, whatever.
Right. And then did you move to the Isle of Man at that point?
So there was a wee bit more before that. So I was over here. Isle of Man was shut, locked down, and my parents were over here. My brother was over here, and they were like trying to get me an exemption to come over because they were like, "Well, we've put you in rehab. This has not worked. What's going on?" And eventually, I did get the exemption, and I came over. And I was only going to come over for a couple of months, and then I was like, so I did 2 weeks at my parents' house. What do they call it? Like isolation.
Oh, yeah.
So
Contained.
I did a cold turkey detox then.
Yeah.
And I went out. It was a nice sunny day, and I was like, just going to get myself a little bottle of vodka, a little quarter bottle, and then I'm done. And then I was like right back on it again. So that went on for another month or two. Then eventually I got into Nobles, and they did a detox. So I think that was my second or third detox. As I say, I was pushing my family away, my brother, my niece, my nephew. Everyone was just like, what the fuck? Do you know
What's
what I mean?
going on here?
Going on? We've done everything we can, and you're just keep on doing this. Why can't you stop? And I was like, well, because I hate the word, but I'm an alcoholic, you know.
Yeah.
This was all I could see that I needed in my life, you know.
Yes, and it's the only thing that worked.
Only thing that worked. So I did that detox, was in there for 3 days, came out, and went to Motivate. And I was going to Motivate, I was going to DAT, I was doing AA, NA, CA, which CA and NA, Narcotics Anonymous and Cocaine Anonymous, but like, as I say, drugs were never a problem.
All mix, all in.
But they're like, alcohol's a drug, so we welcome you. So I was doing a meeting every day. I wasn't working, and I ended up doing like more than 100 meetings in 100 days because I was doing stuff online. I was going to Zoom. I was going to like Zoom AA meetings in Idaho. I was going to ones in Australia. I tried France, but I don't speak French.
Yeah, a bit of a language barrier.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is not
ideal.
So I was doing everything and anything I could because I was like, I need to do it this time. If I don't do it, like in AA, they say jails, institutions, and death. Now I'd done a bit of I'd been locked up for a night. I'd done the institutions with the rehab. I'd been in hospital, and I didn't fancy the third one.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, I need to do this. I need to do it for me, first of all. They say it's the last selfish thing that someone in addiction can do, and then you can start.
So, like, recognising the problem and then executing it after.
Yeah.
That first thing is actually realising that you've got an issue.
Yeah, that's
or
it.
that it's become an issue.
That it's become an issue. I mean, I think that's the first step, like, realising that you are, what is it again? I'm going to get it wrong, but it's like you're incapable of going a day without a drink or whatever. I've totally mashed that up, but it is the first step. It's recognizing it and making
day one
you aware.
Day one.
Yeah.
Every day is day one. Keep going.
One day at a time, you know, one hour at a time.
Yeah. What tools would you then suggest to when you think about people in general, and especially with the work that you're doing? And by the way, so how long have you been sober for now? Did you say?
1,965 days. Not that I'm counting, but I did a post. So a lot of the thing is that people need to do getting sober. I think Robert Downey Jr. said this. He said getting sober is the easiest thing you can do. It's staying sober that's the hard part.
Definitely.
And staying sober is like you've got to do the work on yourself. Like, why are you drinking to escape? Because I was drinking to escape because I was depressed. I was unfulfilled in my life. I didn't enjoy the jobs that I was in, the relationships that I was in. I was just kind of just bumbling through life in a very unhappy manner. So I needed to basically do a full reset of my life, you know. I now work outside as a gardener and I absolutely love that. I couldn't imagine being in an office again. And I think that was one of the main things that I needed to change in my life.
Trapped almost, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Like working for whatever man it was that I'm doing this menial job, data input or whatever, and I'm making someone at the top of the chain much richer than what they're paying me. Pittance. I mean, whereas now I work for myself, my own business, my own boss.
Yeah,
I can do whatever I want.
But you also have to hold yourself accountable for what happens.
Yeah, and
if you don't make enough money that month, it's because you haven't done enough work.
Yeah,
realistically.
I've had time off over Christmas, and it's like every day that I was off, I'm not earning. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's
exactly.
Kind of like I'm not. So there's that. But I wouldn't change it for the world.
Been writing off me, we had a great night last night. It's all worth it. But then once you realise that what a sober weekend is and how much more you get done.
Yeah.
Like as a maturer person, go out and pick the occasion or whatever.
Yeah.
You sort of do recognise it. Bloody hell, how much are you wasting this weekend?
Yeah. Yeah.
It is actually a way.
And not just the weekend.
You feel like shit.
Like this whole 2 weeks that people have had off for Christmas and New Year. I bet there's some people that are still they're going into work tomorrow, absolutely still hanging because they've just can't continue to on for 2 weeks. They're going back to work probably worse, Nick, than when they left. Do you know what I mean? And what have they actually done? Have they gone out for many walks? Have they seen many?
But you appear to be happy.
Yeah.
Not feel like shit because you're on the piss.
Yeah. And it's a depressant as well. Do you know what I mean? It makes you feel down. So, you know, and I know a lot of people, and it's myself, like when I was drinking, maybe not that much through the week and have a big Friday night, then I'd drink on Saturday, and by Sunday, we'd call it a fundy Sunday. So we'd have a few in the afternoon. But by Sunday evening, I was dreading work. I was like, oh my God. Because you've got that fear, you've got that anxiety.
I know.
And you're like, what have I done this weekend? Nothing. Do you know what I mean? And people said to me when I stopped drinking, we just socialised. But you probably can't even, I couldn't remember it. But people would say to me, now you stop drinking, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with your time? I'm like, everything else.
Yeah.
The whole world, you know what I mean? Like the whole world is not just about going to Quids Inn or Jack's or, you know, wherever. But it's got this whole glamorous kind of...
That's culture.
It's like if you're having a nice glass of whiskey with the ice in a pure crystal glass, it's like that is glamorous. That's
culture, that is.
Yeah, but it's not.
That's culture. Like,
it's bollocks,
years and years. Do you think the Isle of Man's a good place to get sober?
So... Isle of Man is a magical place to me, man. You know, I believe in the fairies, I believe in the hills, and I got sober here. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't have got sober elsewhere, but it was the right time, the right place for me.
Yeah, fresh start.
I got a little cottage up in Craignish, the little thatched cottage, tied to it beg, so I lived up there for 4 years, and it was perfect for me, you know, and like I started doing a lot of hill walking, a lot of hiking. I did the Radna Fallen. For Motivate Charity a couple of years ago, so I did the full thing, like wild camping in a oneer.
Nice.
You know, the whole coastal path. But just, do you know what? Like a lot of my friends that would maybe come over and visit, ones that stayed with me, you know, that helped me out and all that, not the boozers in the pub. They'd come over and they'd be like, "Oh, I mean, we love the Isle of Man, but it's a little bit kind of feels like it's been left behind." I was like, "Yeah, I know, I love it." That's it. Do you know what I mean? I love that kind of quaintness that we've got over here. That we don't need 24-hour Tesco's. We don't need all that. Like we don't need Amazon vans driving down the street knocking people over. We're functionable and we're happy and we're safe. You know, touch wood, we're still safe.
That's the big one.
The kids can go out and play like what it was like for me growing up in the 80s.
Yeah,
you know, and I just find it this most like it's not big. You know, like I've got a couple of jobs up in Regaby and Lazaire. Jen, my wife's like, "Ooh, it's quite a distance." Do you know what I mean? The old Manx mentality.
Yeah.
Have you got your passport? Have you got packed lunch? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
you got everything.
You're going up north
to Lazaire.
Yeah.
God,
and it's like 45 minutes. So.
Do you think for you, it was a good place to get sober because you didn't really know anyone?
Yeah. So I could have a full
Like
reset.
the community here is very strong. So if you've been in a community, in a pub community, and all of a sudden you say, right, I'm going sober, you'll still see those people.
Yeah.
You can't get away in that, and that's the negative side of it, is the community is so strong that when someone outlies himself, everyone's like, well, why are you doing that?
Yeah. I get that.
Why are you, do you, like when you talk to people, is that what people feel? Like, do they feel social pressure to drink on the island?
Yeah, of course. There's peer pressure, and it's like, well, what am I going to do? Because a lot of them, and I know a lot of people that still go to the pubs, and they're not forcing themselves, but it takes a lot of them to get down there. There's a guy I know, and he was on the podcast. He was 28, I think, when he got sober, and he had a stag do coming up in a couple of months, and he's just a couple of months behind me, so he's 5 years plus, and he went to the stag do, and he's great. He does it all. He's now, I don't think they're married, but they've got a little girl, and his life is just, transformed. But he made the point of, because he's young, I was old. I was like, I don't need to go to the pub. I basically hibernated, hermitized myself for a while up in Craignish. But I know it is tough for people. Up in Craignish. They do have that thing where it's like, well, what am I going to do now? And it's like, until they start finding other things. And I always say to people, like, what did you like doing as a kid? Like, did you have hobbies that you kind of fell by the wayside when you started really drinking? Mine was photography. I loved photography, and I hadn't really done much the whole time I was drinking. And when I got sober, I started doing photography again. I had an exhibition down in Port Erin, and I'd started doing all these markets around the island. It was very social. So that was for me. So I didn't need to go to the pubs. But like what you're saying, yeah, I did have a full reset, and I know it is tough for people that they've got this whole community.
I'm not saying it wasn't tough for you at all. I'm just trying to put it into a perspective of the listeners who are from the Isle of Man and how they can. And I probably, whilst talking to you, I would imagine that I'm probably feeling the same way the listeners will feel. It's quite a eye-opening discussion, I think, which is good because it's difficult conversation. Sometimes discussions like this or listening to things like this can all of a sudden make you look at yourself as well.
And that's what I'm trying to do. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to say to people, you shouldn't drink and you shouldn't do this. And I'm just saying, like, open your eyes a little bit, And I know that sounds a bit cheeky. You didn't do it. You've been absolutely struggling through the whole thing. Yeah. If it's a problem, like, to get through dry January, then you need to have a look at how much you're drinking and why that's a problem, because it shouldn't be. To give up, like, I don't know, could you give up tea for a month? You probably could. It wouldn't be an issue, would it?
No.
I could give up chocolate for a month. I'd be like, yeah, okay, I give it up for a month. Alcohol, so many people do dry January and then fail by the middle of the month because they're like, oh, I had to go to this thing or I had to go to that thing.
That's strange. It is almost that old saying, if it barks like a dog and smells like a dog, it is a dog. When it comes to, like, have you got a problem? Well,
have you got a problem?
If you're struggling, like, this includes everyone, me included. If you're struggling to get through January, look at yourself. If you're itching for the beer, you probably do have a bit of an issue going on there.
And I'm not saying like full-blown alcoholic. I hate that word alcoholic anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You're just down a road that maybe you're not comfortable with.
Yeah, but it's like, have a look at where you're at. Because let's be honest, alcohol's a drug, right?
Yeah, totally.
And any drug can be addictive. That's their nature. So, I knew a girl who she was quite small, she would only have a bottle of Prosecco on a Friday night, and that was it. That was all she would do. But it was quite, it was a bottle. Yeah. But if for whatever reason she was doing something else and she couldn't get that bottle, she started getting a little bit antsy. And it was like, because her body was like, we're used to getting this bottle of Prosecco. It knew it. It's like that muscle memory or whatever. And it was like, and she started getting a little
almost placebo in a sense.
Yeah. She needed her almost like medicine. And but she eventually gave it up, and she's fine now, because she was like, what am I actually getting from this bottle of Prosecco? What like, she'd feeling a little bit shitty the next day.
In like the sober community.
Yeah.
How do I word this? You obviously communicate together.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're an outsider from people who drink? Do you feel like you've got people who like or not even drink all the time, people who don't mind drinking?
Yeah.
And then the sober people who see the light?
Yeah, I mean,
I've always wondered that. Like, can they mix well?
I mean, I do mix with them. I sometimes feel that a
You
lot
don't
of
look down upon them, though.
No, not at all. And I don't judge them. I don't do anything. I know a lot of our friends, like I was speaking to someone last night and he decided to tell me that he's kind of cutting down his drinking. They all feel they need to tell me these things. I love to hear it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it probably gets a bit...
But it's almost like, hey, why are you telling me that? And it's like, well, you know, and I'm proud of them. And it's great. But I do sometimes worry that if they think that I'm being judging them, and I try not to be, and I hope I'm not coming across.
No, you're not coming across to me that way.
But
I'm interested in that.
But
how that makes you feel.
I mean, I do go out to things where people are drinking. Jen and I tend to like leave a bit earlier anyway, you know, and head off before it gets.
She's sober as well, by the way.
She's not sober, no, but she doesn't really drink. She's one of those enigmas that can kind of take it or leave it. Like she had her hen do last August, and she went out with like her sister and like loads of mates, and there was a lot of them like a drink, and she came back like early evening. They went down to the spa thing in Port Erin and all that. They went to Kellas and a few other restaurants are available, but you know they went there, and she came back maybe about 11, half 11, and she was like, I'm so drunk. She really wasn't. I was like, you're really not.
Liar.
You know, no, she thought she was drunk because that was her. But she always like have a couple of glasses, have some water and all that. She's just always been able to do that.
Wow.
You know? But I don't think, like we were trying to remember, I think she had a glass on Christmas Day, but before that it was like, we couldn't really remember when she'd had the last drink.
Suppose but you don't push you just work together in a sense.
We work together.
And you do what works for you and she does what works for her.
Exactly. And she has been out on nights out where I've gone and picked her up and her and her mates given them a lift home. So I've no issue with that.
Yeah.
But I think
that's cool, that open-mindedness, you know, that's interesting.
I think you have to be, you know. I could be like...
I could talk to you about that for hours, I think.
I want to speak to people that are drinking and all that. Like, there was a party, one of our mates, it was a Christmas party, and they had one of those pop-up free bars and all that, and I was like, Jen, I'm gonna give this one a miss, because I know it's just going to be a mad piss up, and by like 8 o'clock, I'm going to be like, no one really to talk to, because they'll all be...
Yeah, flying.
Yeah, so I just went, you know what, I'm not coming. And the guy whose party was, he was like, he was like, do you know what? He's like, it was a good call.
Yeah.
It was messy. And I was like, yeah, fair enough, you know. So, like, I know when and where not to go, you know.
You can't even... The people who probably are sober who look down on people aren't pure because that was them once.
Yeah, that's the thing. I need to remember that.
That was you do remember. I can tell by the way you interact and the way you come across that you do recognise that you were in their shoes at one point. So you're like, I can see your perspective, and they'll probably realise it at some point.
Yeah.
Some people probably never do, but
I'm sure there's people that I know that, you know, that might be thinking, oh, do I do that? All I would say to people that I know or anyone is like, I'm here if you need me. When it gets to that point, if you think that there's a problem, then come and speak to me. That's why I'm doing the peer mentoring at Motivate, because it's like someone with lived experience to do that work. I'm going to start sober coaching in April, because people come to me on Instagram and things, and they're like, oh, what advice you got? And I'm not qualified to give that kind of advice. Well, I am for the peer mentoring now, but before I was like, I can only tell you what I did.
Your
might work with
experience.
some, but I want to get qualified so I can actually start giving sound qualified advice.
That's
and help
cool.
people.
I like
you
that.
know, and that's the kind of thing. But
that is cool.
I think for, you know, like you're a young man, and I'm sure the hangovers aren't as bad. But when you get to in your 40s, and it's like they get worse and worse and worse.
3 days or something.
Oh yeah. So I think like why, you know, why are people still kind of writing off, like we were saying earlier, writing off your weekend? Because
is there myths though? Like, is there sober myths in the sense of people who do drink in the sober community? Is there myths that people who do drink and talk about getting sober, is there myths that they believe? And in the sense of you get a bit woohoo or a bit, you know, is there anything that is made up about how sober life is? Is there anything like that going on?
Oh, like
I don't know. I've never spoke to someone who's been sober as long as you.
Yeah.
So do people sort of perceive?
Do people make out that it's like this amazing thing, and actually they're going, "Oh my god, my life."
Yeah. Like, is there any myths around that area? That's just like you wouldn't think, or you wouldn't, or people who do. I'm trying to think about how to word it.
Well, so there's a thing, and I don't know if this is what you're talking about, but there's a thing called dry drunk, right?
Okay.
Which means that you're sober, so you're dry. You're not imbibing alcohol, but you're still that same person that you were when you're drunk. So you've still got this frustration, this anger. And I've seen them. I've seen people that are dry drunk.
Really?
Still absolutely the same person that they were when they're drinking, but they're sober. Do a breathalyzer, sober. But they've not worked out the stuff in their own head. They've not become this kind of new person, if that makes sense. There's no myths from my side. Do you know what I mean? My life is just... And
it is what you explain it is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, this is the thing where I want to say to people, fucking come in. The water is fine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just try it for 3 months. I've set up a group
You've
on
got me
Facebook
going here now.
called Sober Seasons.
Yeah.
What it does is it's been going 2 years now. It starts from, like, the winter solstice to the equinox in spring. So 3 months. And I'm like, fuck dry January, do it for 3 months. It starts on the 21st of December, and I say to people, listen, I don't mind if you start on the 1st of January because I know Christmas and all that, and then go 3 months and see how you feel. And then from spring equinox through to 21st of June, summer solstice, it's another sober spring, then sober summer, and then sober autumn. So it's been going on, and it's only like 148 people at the moment.
Yeah.
But we've got some amazing success
That's
stories.
a strong community is sometimes stronger when it's small. This, you probably know it being in the podcast. This idea of having 100,000 people following you sometimes isn't the point, in my opinion.
Oh God, no.
I would still make these podcasts if 4 people listen to them.
Yeah.
And you're probably the same.
Absolutely.
1, because you enjoy doing it. 2, you're practicing, and hopefully you'll get better and better and better and better and better.
Yeah. And if I'm helping those 4 people, then that's the point.
Exactly. And if I'm bringing people awareness of what's going on, then I'm happy.
Yeah.
This idea of needing hundreds of thousands of people, tens of thousands of people, it's a bit like, well, yeah, we might get there one day. I'm quite happy just building the community slow.
Well, the thing is, I'm not going to be Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan interviews everyone and anyone. I've got quite a niche market.
Exactly.
It's people that are kind of in recovery from alcohol or drugs or whatever. And it's like, not everybody's going to want to listen to that. There's a lot of people, friends of mine, that, they still drink, but they're listening to it because they enjoy the stories. And if there's little nuggets of like making them
That
think.
gives me a bit of
Good.
tingly thing. That
tingle, yeah?
Yeah. A nice little
It's
tingle.
just that little switch that I can go to give someone that thought of going, maybe I'll give it up for 3 months and I'll see how I feel after 3 months. And if Jimmy's talking absolute shite, then I'll go back to
I'm going to be honest, you've made me feel like that.
just 3 months, man.
You've made me feel like that. You've made
3
me
months.
think about that 3 months today.
Yeah.
Big time. It's bizarre how you've just mentioned that. Because what's that word? That effect that how people, or the effect that you have on people is very cool. That is important, and that's a skill in itself to be able to have that. It's actually, because I think it's probably actually because your story is inspiring that influence comes across.
Yeah, because I've been there, done it.
You've been there and done
it to the worst of
Yeah.
some of the worst. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like, oh yeah, I drank too many. Like I know a lot of people in podcasts that I interview. Guests, some are as bad as me, some are worse, but the majority are kind of like middle of the road drinkers and stuff. And it's like, because I've had that absolute diabolical experience that, I don't think I'd have been, I wouldn't be here if I was still drinking. Let's put it that way. Heavily. I was one track road to, being underground.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of, I want to get people, like I said earlier, to stop before it gets to that point. If they feel that it's getting that bad.
Yeah,
but not even that, just for a better way of life, man.
Yeah.
Like,
living on a beautiful island, whether you're in the UK, England, France, anywhere.
Yeah.
But if it's people on the Isle of Man and you're living here in such a beautiful place, and why not enjoy it?
Why not enjoy it? Why not be able to get out on a Saturday morning when you're not working, go and walk up Snaefell or, do some of the coastal path. Like, everyone walks past those random fallen sites, but I bet only 2% of the island have ever done it. Yeah, get out and do it, man.
Go for a
Use 3
mission.
months to do it. Go and do it. I mean,
Go for a mission.
don't get a lot of time off, but we live in such an amazing place that it's like, get out and do it.
100%.
And that's the thing. If you were to, say you were to go out to a restaurant tomorrow night, right, and you ate something that you'd never really had before, and it made you feel like shit the next day, you wouldn't eat it again, would you?
When you put it like that, when you put it like that, that is how you get anyone
You got a 3-day hangover. If you ate something and you were sick for 3 days, you
had
know,
the shits
had the
or
shits or
felt you
whatever.
vomit or what? Oh boy!
belly, you would be like, I'm not going back there.
When you
Restaurant.
think,
I'm not
when you
eating
put
that
it
yet.
like that, it
know.
makes sense.
But we do it all the time.
But that is crazy.
I used to be sitting there, like, just screaming. Everything was in pain. My head was in pain. My body, like, my mental health was in pain. And all I could see was I need my medicine to make me better. And it did for a short time, but then it would wear off and I would need it again and again and again. Now, I know everyone's not like that, but it's a poison, man. And it's like...
Let's see how.
Let's find other things
to see
to
how
do.
this podcast goes. I think it's going to be interesting because
There's a lot of drinkers.
a lot of people who probably listen to it haven't been exposed to what you do. Or,
Yeah.
I personally probably haven't really been exposed to many
Well, I can
sobriety people, if that makes sense. If that's the sobriety community.
Yeah. But I can see what stuff that I'm saying to you, and you're like I see in your eyes going wide and going, oh my God, that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? And like, obviously, it's having a bit of an effect on you. But I hope I'm not coming across as preachy. Because
I don't know. You're not.
people can
preaching,
be out there drinking.
Even if you were preaching, Jimmy. You're preaching something that's worth preaching.
It's health, man. It's health and well-being.
Yeah,
You know?
and I think that's a good way to start winding this thing in, and is prioritizing their own health and well-being. Really,
Yeah.
Whether that's gym and not drinking, eating food, trying to get yourself and loving yourself again. This can sometimes be the issue. I think.
Without a doubt.
When you stop that sort of thing, is actually finding that just around this thing. It was just trying to find that self-love.
I always say I'm now finding out the person that I was always meant to be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the relationships that I've got, that's another thing. Like, relationships are just so much better with people. You know, when you're going out, you're in a relationship with your family, with your loved one or whatever, and you go out and drinking and all that, there's arguments, there's this, there's that, there's fallouts, there's grumpiness, there's frustration, there's anger, and it's like, stop drinking, and I bet all that gets better.
All your problems will go away.
I mean, not quite. Don't get me wrong, man. My life has its ups and downs.
Yeah.
But what is it we say? My worst day sober far outweighs my best day drunk.
Amen.
Amen, man. Amen.
Amen to that message. And we do have one question before you leave, Jimmy, and that's we do ask everyone, and it's if you could change or improve one thing about the Isle of Man, and what this place is, what would it be and why? And it's quite interesting. Take a second to think, because everyone who comes on here, who's been on here, has a different purpose, has a different reason, and their reason of what they would change is different, in my opinion. And I'm interested to hear yours.
I mean, I'm married to a Manx lady through and through. You know, she teaches Manx. I've started learning a little bit of Manx. Yeah, I know. And I love, like, I felt more, I learned more about my own Celtic heritage by living here and learning about the Manx culture and all that.
Right.
And you go to the south, you go to St. John's, you go to Peel, you go to Ramsey. The Manx culture's everywhere. Douglas is lacking that, and I feel
True.
sometimes you get off the boat in Douglas and you're walking into England, the UK.
Yeah.
I would change Douglas being a lot more Manxified.
That's the first time anyone said that.
I think, like, when you get off that boat and you walk into Douglas, you should be like, I'm in a different world. I'm in a Manx world. I'm in a Celtic
world.
I'm in a Celtic world. You know,
It's like if you go travelling and you stay somewhere for 3 days is a lot different than if you live there for 3 months.
Yeah.
Because if you stay there for 3 days, you're only seeing the touristy things then, and or the main city, for example. Whereas if you live there for 3 months, the locals are taking you out to different places, and you see them. And that's what makes the Isle of Man session, like St. John's, Peel, Castletown, Ramsey. They're the places that are different, not just. That's really interesting.
Yeah. So when I lived here before, I lived here. And I did a little bit of touring. I lived in Douglas, but I went and saw different sites. But then I just stayed in Douglas. So when I came back, I was like, I'm not living in Douglas. I'm going to go. Trek Niche.
I mean, couldn't be more Manx, could
It's
I?
more far away
Yeah.
from Douglas if you
People thought
try.
I'd had to dress up in all the garb and all that when I was living there. I was like, no, I'm just renting a cottage. I don't have to be part of the museum, you know. like,
That's
like
why they grow your hair out and all.
Yeah.
Putting a bloody Hessian sack on and walking around with a bit of string belt.
Yeah.
Wow.
So no, that is what I'd
No, thank you
change. I
very
hope
much.
that's not,
No, I
disappoints
like
people living
that.
in Douglas. But I love Douglas. Don't get me wrong, but
The people can't. One person can't change the world. In
we
that
need
sense,
to
can they?
we need to embrace more of the Manx stuff. It is the year of the Manx language this year as well.
Amen
so,
to that.
Yeah,
it is indeed. Wow.
Yeah. So
Good point, Jimmy. Do you want to plug yourself before we leave, sir? Where can people find what you do and what you get up to?
people can find me on Instagram at recovery_Jimmy.
Nice.
I'm on Facebook as well, but that's my main kind of home is the Instagram page. The
Yeah,
Facebook
it's very
more.
successful.
Yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there. The podcast is After Hours with Jimmy Thistle, so that's on Spotify, YouTube, all the rest of them, Apple, and all
Everywhere.
that. They can also find the Sober Seasons group, even though we're past the 21st or the 1st. People can join at any time because not everyone's at the same level of sobriety. But it's called Sober Seasons on Facebook, and it's a private group for people that are in recovery. It's just about support and helping people out, and like if they feel like they want to speak to someone, it's all private. Do you know what I mean? No one's.
Yeah.
It's like the rooms where 8
On there.
whatever, it's all anonymous. It's in there, but it's just a great little group of support, and we're growing from year to year. So
Nice, man.
yeah, and I think that's
Perfect.
with everything.
Thank you very much for joining me, Jimmy. It's been an absolute pleasure.
I've absolutely
And
loved
it's
it.
been a hellish eye-opening conversation for me.
Yeah.
I'm very interested. I think I'm going to sit and just
So you doing dry January?
think.
Or-
I am in the middle of dry January at the
Keep it
moment.
going, man.
Yeah,
Join the group.
Oh, you bastard. See, people come on here, and especially people like you, which is interesting. Before we quickly go, is I never met any. Like sometimes I don't meet people before I come on here, like of yourself.
Yeah,
And after
yeah.
it, I'm gonna leave that door and think, fuck it, I know Jimmy now.
Yeah.
I know you now.
And well, yeah.
You told me your story
Told
and
my
what
story.
you've done, and it's crazy.
I bared my soul like
Yeah.
I do, man.
Lay it on the table.
That's it. Do you know what I mean? Like when I got sober, I was like, I ain't gonna be hiding this. I'm gonna shout it from the fucking rooftops.
Yeah.
I'm Jimmy. I'm an alcoholic if you want to call me that, but I'm sober now. And that's it, man.
Love
Yeah.
that, Jimmy. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Been a pleasure.
See you later.
Cheers, man.